You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with thanks to Wexford Insurances. Wexford Insurances. More information at wexfordinsurance.com.
I'm joined now by Philip Scallan, Managing Director of Celtic Linen, one of the oldest family-run businesses left in County Wexford, employing over 400 people today. Philip, good morning and thank you for joining me this morning.
Good morning, and it's great to be with you here today.
For those that wouldn't be as familiar with Celtic Linen as I am, maybe you can start off by giving us a little bit of background to the company, please.
Celtic Linen was founded in 1926 by my grandfather. Some say it was actually started a little bit earlier by my grandmother, but the history books will show that my grandfather started it. He started the business with two aims in life. One was to provide a good standard of living for his family, and I think he's achieved that one very well. And the second one was that he wanted to provide employment in what was a local black spot, the unemployment black spot, which was Wexford at the time. And I think he's achieved that as well.
I know that over the years, Celtic Linen has become the number one provider of rental linen to the hospitality sector. How has it achieved that?
We continue to diverse and we keep to develop the new products. My father, Sean Scallan, he introduced linen rental to Ireland in the late 60s with the old Great Southern Hotel in Rosslare. And the Kelly's Hotel in Rosslare also took the linen rental, and they're our longest serving customer at the moment, and it's great to have that kind of relationship. But with the development of the product, all the linen that's in the hotel is provided by Celtic Linen. Towels, sheets, pillowcases, tablecloths. So the hotel don't have a laundry on site, they don't own the linen, and it's changed as often as required. We collect and deliver and bring everything back today to one site here in Wexford.
I know that the business is a third generation business at this stage, and you know the whole area of succession planning is something that's often underlooked by businesses across the country. What has been the key to the success of Celtic Linen based on its plan for succession?
Well, succession planning in any family business is very difficult because you've got family issues as well as business issues. And my father was very clear how he wanted it to go, but my mother, who thank God is still alive today, she asked us all to sit down and put in a family constitution, which is a document that basically protects the company from the family. It listens to what the family want, it interprets what the family wants, and then it is put to the executive of the company to run it in the fashion that they've been asked to do so by the family. But it's a very clear documentation that allows the company to develop and run itself without interference from family members that may not be welcome.
So by having a structured procedural system in place, that has taken lots of ambiguity out of decision making within the organisation itself.
It has. I mean, you can have an example that if a shareholder wants to sell their shares, there is now a pre-prescribed method of how the shareholding is moved on and how that shareholding is kept within the family going forward, so that Celtic Linen or Celtic whatever it's going to be will always be a Scallan family outfit.
I know that you're in the position of Managing Director. How long have you been in that position, and what are the major challenges that you've had to overcome since you've taken that post?
I took over as Managing Director of Celtic Linen Carlow in 1988. In that time, so many challenges have been put out there. The most memorable one, unfortunately, was the death of my brother John. But since then, life continues to change, and if you don't adapt to that change very quickly and be prepared to change, then you're going to get swallowed up. And that's where the beauty of working with a team such as I do here in Celtic, and a lot of them have more service in Celtic than I do. And there are family names here in Wexford that go back the same three generations as the Scallan family do. There's a joke running here in Celtic is Scallans think they own this place, but it's not. It's actually the Murphy family, but that's another day story.
I know, Philip, in 1998 you made the decision that you were going to locate Celtic Linen on one site as opposed to having 4 sites in Wexford and 1 site in Carlow. You were going to move the entire organisation to one single base in Wexford. What benefits did that bring, and what was the reason for it at the time?
Well, the easy thing to say, the reason first, is that trying to control a number of different sites brings its own issues, from management teams, engineering teams and different teams, and trying to get everything to run as one unit. By deciding to bring it to one site early, it was very clear that we understood that, yes, we were in positive times, it was going to go forward, there was good growth coming down the line, but you already had to begin. In good times, you have to prepare for bad times, and in bad times, you have to prepare for good. So in the good times, we were always looking to how could we control the costs. So by bringing to one site here in Drina, we have one management team, one engineering team, one distribution team, but yet there are 3 separate laundries here on this site. and 3 separate laundries doing 3 completely separate jobs. One of them for hospitality, one of them for healthcare, and the other one we do garments in, but that's for both the pharmaceutical and food industries.
And I know on that one site today you have over 400 staff employed. What is absenteeism like on that site?
One of the biggest issues we had in Carlow was absenteeism. At times it was running up to 24%. But when working with staff, and people sometimes say that staff in Wexford aren't, they're not good and they're militant. They're far from it. They're the best staff you can get. And sitting here today on a Saturday, I can look back over last week's figures and say that the absenteeism was somewhere between 1 and 2%. That means that between 4 and 5, maybe 6 people were absent from work due to sickness or ill health. But it's down to the encouragement that the staff give each other to come to work each day. There's a reason to come to work. We're not the biggest payers or the highest payers in the world, but a lot of people really do enjoy working here in Celtic.
Tell me a little bit about your own client base.
Client base is nationwide. Currently about 50% of our business comes from the hotel industry. In excess of 250 hotels we service from the site here in Wexford. We service between 25 and 30 hospitals from here in a separate laundry here in Wexford. And we serve some of the largest and some of the smallest industries in Ireland with our garment supply service. Everybody from Splaxo Smithline in Dungarvan right down to a local butcher shop here in Wexford. But all of them get the same attention no matter how big or how small. And
what would the geographical spread of that business be?
Geographical spread, currently we service an Anoiga establishment up in Fanet Head, which is way up at the top of Donegal. I was down in Kenmare last weekend and I saw our own truck down there twice, which was great to see. And we service the Dublin market. About 30-35% of our business comes out of the Dublin market. But here in the southeast, we would be the predominant supplier as well, servicing all of the different markets here. Unfortunately, we don't yet service the hospital market here, but hopefully in the next couple of months, that'll come along.
From a technological perspective, what impact has technology had on your business over the last 10 to 15 years?
Technology is huge here. People have an impression that a laundry is a very hot, steamy place with a lot of water, an awful lot of people. But the technology we use here in any one of the 3 plants, both for health and safety reasons, but for speed reasons, to get a product through. Those of you that are out there doing the ironing when you're actually listening to me here on Saturday morning, just think about that we've machines that will actually iron 3,000 pillowcases an hour or 1,000 sheets an hour, and they'll fold them at the same time.
One of the big issues with technology is that it costs jobs. Have you experienced that yourself?
Yes, we have. But one thing we've been lucky with this particular issue is that with technology, we haven't actually lost any jobs because what it's allowed us to do is to actually get more product through the plant for less of a labour cost. And we try and make this clear to the staff so they understand as well that a job may disappear in the plant because of technology arriving, but there's always another job to do because we'll expand our business to make sure that we can keep that person employed.
I know that over 50% of your business comes from the hospitality sector. Now, every dog in the street will know that the hotel sector is one of the worst hit sectors over the last number of years in the current recession that we're going through. Are you concerned about the level of dependency that you have in that particular sector?
I would have a concern over it, but we've taken an active decision to remain in that market and to continue to servicing that market. And to be fair to the market, it's run nearly in 2 sections today, and it's the section that's run by NAMA / the banks, which have put management companies in to run their hotels, and they're doing extraordinarily good jobs. But I'm not sure, and it's just not fair on the likes of others and that have to compete, pay their bills on time, and have no support from the bank, such as not paying back their debt or being taken over and run by the bank. While there's a lot of jobs out there, it's not allowing the natural wastage in an industry. And the wastage in the hotel industry is about 10,000 rooms at the moment. And that's the really worrying thing, that great hoteliers like Liam Griffin, Bill Kelly have to compete against hotels that do not have the same cost base as they do. And that is basically paying back their loans.
From your experience, are you finding that you have many bad debts in relation to the hospitality sector?
We manage our debt very tightly. I'm very privileged to have a team of, they're called debt collectors within the company, who ring, who chase, who push. But when it comes to it, we won't continue to supply someone who's not paying their bills. We just can't, because that's money that we'll have spent. That's money that we'll have paid the staff already. That's money that we'll have paid for detergents. That's money we'll have paid the bank on our loans. We can't afford to allow debts to creep up and get bigger and us to be used as financiers. So on that basis, unfortunately, we do turn around and say, I'm sorry, we will not supply any more linen until your bill is paid. Or we will try and facilitate them and say, pay your current bills today and give us a plan as to how you're going to pay off your old debt. We have about maybe 20, 25 hotels at the moment that, are we their banker? To a small extent we are. We are actually providing some credit facilities to them on the basis that it's being paid off over a period of time. Are we getting remunerated for that? Yes, I am. Am I charging interest for that? Yes, I am. You might say, am I a banker? No, I'm not. But at the long term, we've got to keep the customer base going to the best of our ability. Last year, we had a couple of bad debts, ones we got wrong. Hopefully, going forward next year, that will be better. The indications from that sector alone are that the next 12 months will be a better 12 months in the hotel industry. And we'll look forward to reaping that. At this moment in time, Easter this year on Easter last year is up about between 8 and 10%. That's a really positive sign.
Philip, I had the opportunity the other day of having a tour of the facility, which I was very impressed with, in Celtic Linen. One thing I noticed is that it's a very labour-intensive and very equipment-intensive process that linen has to go through. And the equipment you pointed out at the time up there was very, very high value. Which leads me to a question in relation to your own bank. How supportive have they been of Celtic Linen?
I would say that our bank overall have been supportive up till this year. We've had a couple of issues this year. There's no point in going into the detail here on the public airwaves. We've managed to get around those difficulties. But it really is down to that they're in tough position. I'm not justifying their position at all. But you have to fight your own corner, fight it very hard. And I'm fortunate being in charge of a larger firm is that I'm in a position to fight them maybe harder than a small person in the street or a small business, and sort of try and bend their arm up a little bit further behind their backs. But this year was probably the toughest years with the bank we've been through with them yet.
What advice would you give to people out there today in business that are suffering from cash flow issues? It seems to be the major issue facing businesses, both small and large, out there today.
You have to be clear that a customer is not a customer unless they're paying the money they owe you. You cannot do business if you plan to get product and not pay for it. You cannot describe supplying linen, supplying product to anyone as being a great year if you're not getting paid for it. You're giving away your business. And I'm very sorry, that's a very callous thing to say. But if people are not paying you, then you've got to stop doing business with you. Why don't you give them your competitor's number? Put them out of business quicker.
That leads me on to the question about competition. Have you much competition in the market, and how price sensitive is it?
This market is very price sensitive. It's no different to any other market at the moment. We've taken some very large hits. We're doing as much business today, volume-wise, as in the amount of linen we're doing. But we're doing it for nearly 30% less revenue than we did in 2008. Now, we've taken all those costs out, and we're paying our bills. And we're looking after the staff, and we continue to grow and grow slowly at this moment in time. But I have a major frustration with even one of my competitors out there who decided that they're a large German firm. They changed the name of the company. They spent a lot of money on an examinership process. They wrote off a very large sum of money, reputed to be an 18 million mark. They then came out of examinership, renamed the company to its current name, and are now trading directly against me. And I don't consider that fair competition. So I know what the hoteliers are going through, those that are paying their bills and paying their rates and paying everything. It's very difficult that an examinership process allows companies that really should go out of the market to allow a market to survive, to be given a second shot at the market, whereas their competitors are not. People who have done things right are not rewarded for doing it right, where somebody's done something wrong, goes into examinership, writes off the debt, and it's the creditor pays the debt.
I know that you've been successful in developing the healthcare side of the business as well. How did that come about?
In 1993, we entered the healthcare market. A tender was put out by the Eastern Health Board at the time, and we were successful in getting half of the tender. Since then, we've looked at the business. We've developed that part of our business to an enormous extent, right up to now that we are one of the few laundries in Europe that holds a standard called EN 14065. It's a bacterial standard, which means that the linen leaving Celtic is guaranteed bacteria-free. And I think we're only one of 6 laundries in the whole of Europe that currently holds that standards. And my difficulty is that we're in competition with some of the government laundries, and there are 11 of them out there, is that I believe we need a public service. I believe that we need all of that, but I believe they need to be as efficient as I am. And I know that I am not in fair competition with the government's own laundries. They don't meet some of the basic standards, let alone the extended standards that we've been to and achieved. And that's an area that we would continue to try and strive to go forward.
Energy costs for Celtic Linen must be absolutely astronomical. What have you done to reduce those?
Well, by moving to one site, we've reduced it immediately because we get the efficiencies of larger pieces of equipment. We use a phenomenal amount of energy here, unfortunately. And it's very unfair on Celtic Linen and any other large energy user based here in Wexford. And it's one of the things that stops businesses come to Wexford, is that we need to be comparable with the rest of the country. If I moved Celtic Linen to Dublin tomorrow morning, lock, stock and barrel, I would save up to €700,000 on gas alone. So it just gives you some sort of an idea as to why it's so important. It's important for Celtic, but it's much more important for Wexford that we actually get gas here in Wexford. And I'm pleased that Minister Howlin has been very clear in saying on the radio a couple of weeks ago that gas will be in Wexford more than likely next year. And at this moment in time, it's looking that way. But it's very, very important for large energy users that gas comes to Wexford. And if it does come to Wexford, the offshoot of that is that it can go into the home. And the savings for the home are up to €300 to €400 a year for somebody who's burning oil over gas at the moment. So it is important that we get gas here. But notwithstanding all that, I mean, energy usage on this site, we have actually cut the energy usage by about 16 to 18% in the last number of years. Our water usage, we only heat the water once now. When it leaves the building, we reclaim all of the heat out of the effluent that's going out of the building, and we put it back into the fresh water coming in. We've used new technologies as how we continue to reduce our electricity bill. All of the lighting has been totally changed here in Celtic. From its original design, which was only in 1999 through to 2004, it's all been changed, that we're now lighting local areas and that there's no major lighting in the rooftops. We have an electric truck currently working in Dublin, which we're very, very pleased with. We're currently looking at trying to run a natural gas vehicle in Dublin as well. It's very important to us that we continue to reduce those costs. We looked at some of our transport fleet last year. We did some trials with different makes of truck. We chose one at the end of the day. Why? Because the big trucks that we run out of here, Wexford, with their big double-deck trailers behind them, they could be burning up to €80,000 of diesel a year. And if I can make an 8 to 10% saving on that, believe you me, that's 8,000 per truck, and there are 6 of them. So it's very important to us that we get the most efficient green truck on the road today. Green may be a nice thing to say that you're all green and that you're doing things with the least carbon footprint. But believe you me, today, with the price of energy, it's also very important for the future of your business.
What does the future of Celtic Linen look like?
I'm comfortable that it looks good. It looks rosy at the moment. We've just been through a reorganisation here in Celtic to set the management team up to look forward in a slightly different direction as to where we were going from. It allows us to continue to put down 5-year plans, and we would hope that the next 5-year plan would see a continued growth. It will not be a very fast growth, but there will be a continued growth here in Celtic and Wexford, allowing us to develop the products and service from here. We see more and more that we can do more and more outsourcing for hotels or for hospitals or for industry, to make sure that the problems that they currently have, that we are looking at those problems. We go to our customers and say, what problem do you have today? And they, in the hospitals, they tell us A, B and C, things they can't get sorted out or problems that are recurring. And we are putting solutions in place. Some of them have nothing to do with laundry or linen, but they're very important to us going forward.
It's a great story for County Wexford. And I'd like to take this opportunity to wish both yourself and Celtic Linen every success in the future.
You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with thanks to Wexford Insurances. Wexford Insurances, #1 for business insurance in County Wexford.